Hello, welcome to episode 10 of How to Win a World Cup. This one is called Talent Isn't Enough, and it's the finale. My name's Alison Kervin, and we've come a long way, you and I, through a freezing forest in Devon, a dentist smashing up his surgery in Brisbane, a sheep dip, a penalty spot, a worn leather book, and an unbroken chain of names stretching back to 1872. And now we arrive at the fundamental point of this series. How do you win a World Cup? After everything we've just seen, I can give you the answer in 3 words. Not just talent. Here's the thing. Talent is everywhere at the top level of sport. It's the most common thing in elite sport, not the rarest. Think about it. England's rugby team before Clive Woodward was stuffed with talented players and lost. England's footballers, for the best part of 30 years, included some of the most gifted players on the entire planet. A so-called golden generation failed and failed and failed again. If winning was simply a matter of talent, England would need a bigger trophy cabinet. They didn't lack talent. They never lacked talent. The truth is that talent is the price of the ticket. It gets you into the room. What happens after that, whether you actually win or whether you leave that room heartbroken, is decided by something else entirely. And that something else has been the whole of this series: winning behaviours. Because what Clive Woodward worked out, and what England's footballers are discovering now, 20 years later, is that winning is not a gift you are born with. You need to be talented to be good at sport, and you need to be talented to be great at sport, but you need something else to win, to be the best, to be on top of the pile consistently. You need talent and a set of behaviours, a code, and we've spent 9 films taking it apart piece by piece. It is going training with the Marines and learning that your job is the man next to you. It's deciding to win out loud with a date on it and then building everything around that decision. It's the 1,000 tiny details no one else can be bothered with. The eye coach, the egg whites, the QC on tour, the worn out penalty spot. It's filling the room with people cleverer than you and being humble enough to let them work. It's rehearsing the most frightening moment of all until it becomes ordinary, so you can think clearly when everyone else falls apart. It's being a magpie, stealing the best ideas from a dentist, the Marines, an economist, anyone, anywhere. It's making a player feel he belongs to something far bigger than himself, something with a history and a weight. And it's the courage to tell your story, to refuse to hide, to go first. None of this is talent. Every bit of it can be learned, and that's the entire point. So once on a wet Sydney night in 2003, all of it came together in a single kick. A drop goal in the last minute of a World Cup final, struck by a man who'd practiced it 10,000 times, so that in that one moment that mattered most, he didn't have to think at all. England won the World Cup. The code worked. The code delivered. But I'm not going to lie to you at this point. The code is not magic. Don't think that in modern sport you can win major tournaments without winning behaviours. But even if you adopt them, it's not a guarantee that you will win. It stacks the odds in your favour hugely, but it doesn't promise you the trophy. I mean, look at the 2 men this series has been about. Because Clive Woodward, the very man who cracked it, took the British and Irish Lions to New Zealand shortly after cracking it, with all the same beliefs, all the same brilliance, and lost every test. 3-0. He had the code, but he didn't have the time or the conditions to work on those winning behaviours. And England's footballers, they built the whole machine: the forest, the planning, the details, the right people, the penalties, the belonging, the stories, all of it. And in the summer of 2021, in a final at Wembley, they came within 1 kick of winning a major tournament for the first time in 55 years. And they lost. On penalties. And the cruelest twist of all, a 19-year-old boy who missed was then racially abused by the very people he had carried so much hope for. That's the honest truth of it. You can do everything right, every single thing, and still not win. As one of the men who rebuilt England put it, all you can ever do is leave no stone unturned. Prepare so completely that you could look yourself in the eye and say you did everything possible, and then some of it is simply out of your hands. And yet, watch what the winning behaviours gave the England football team, even in that moment, even in defeat. Because when young Bukayo Saka missed that penalty and stood alone on the halfway line, swamped by celebrating opponents, in what must have felt like the loneliest place on earth, one of his teammates broke into a sprint to reach him first, so he would not be alone. And then his manager, Gareth Southgate, the man who 25 years previously had walked that exact lonely walk himself, went to the boy, wrapped an arm around him and told the watching world that the miss was not on Saka, it was on him. That was my call, he said. It rests with me. We win together and we lose together. Do you see it? That's the Royal Marines buddy-buddy system. Your job is the man next to you. No one faces the moment alone. It ran through this whole series, through the forest, through the penalty spot, And here it is again, in the bitterest defeat of all. The code could not promise them the trophy, but it promised them whatever happened, no one would face it on their own. It promised them that they would stay together as a team, and losing wouldn't shake them from the path to victory. Just because you lose, it doesn't make you a loser. There is a future and you can still shine. So it's worth stating just at the end of this series that England footballers have not won a World Cup. Not yet. They've been built deliberately, brick by careful brick, exactly the way winners are built, and they've come achingly close, and the trophy has not yet come. Their story is not finished. It's still being written, and that's the honest place to leave this. But do understand what they did. They took the same code that won a Rugby World Cup, found most of it entirely for themselves, and turned a national joke back into a team the whole country fell in love with. Whether the trophy comes next year or in 10 years or breaks our hearts all over again, they did the thing that actually matters. They build themselves the right way. And here's the really interesting point in all of this. None of this, not really, was ever about football or rugby. It's about how anyone wins anything. The will, the planning, the details, the right people, the calm under pressure, the hunger to learn from anywhere, the sense of belonging, the courage to be open, and the promise that no one stands alone. Those are not sporting tricks. They're the behaviour of winning in any field, in any life, in a business, in a team, in a classroom, in you. Talent might be where you start, but it's never, ever where you finish. I'll leave you with one moment I've never forgotten. I was sitting with Clive Woodward once, marvelling, frankly, at the sheer scale of his self-belief, wondering how a person carries that much certainty around with them. And before I could even ask the question, he answered it as if he'd read my mind. Anything is possible, he said. It just depends how hard you're willing to work for it. Years later, on the other side of this story, Gareth Southgate wrote a book about his own England journey. He called it, of all things, Anything is Possible. 2 men, 2 sports, a quarter of a century apart. The very same 4 words. That's how you win a World Cup. And that's how you win, full stop. Thank you very much for watching. As a journalist, I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of international sports stars. And at the end of every interview, I ask them, why you? Why are you the best at what you do? I put all their statements together, along with those of coaches, scientists and analysts, and created the elite code, what I believe are the behaviours that all successful people have. If you want to know more, take a look at my website or subscribe here to see the new series called Elite Code coming soon. It runs through what I've learned from all sorts of different sports stars and what it all means for understanding and defining success. There'll also be a mini-series called Behind the Interview about what sports stars are really like when you go to interview them. Thank you so much for watching.